Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you very much for the very kind invitation of TABF here to the conference, which is amazing. It's for me the first time to be here in Taiwan, Taipei. So when I got invited to this key speaking note, I was of course wondering what would be the perfect first slide, above all in the afternoon when everybody gets a little bit tired. So I was thinking about creating really something with AI which shows the magic of AI. And I started looking around in the internet and I finally found an application which allowed me to create the perfect first slide, I would like to say, which shows my appreciation to this kind of invitation, but also the appreciation to your country and to your culture and your language. So the whole process took me 15 minutes. I uploaded a photo, I uploaded a voice recording, and I wrote 2 or 3 sentences in my language, which is German. And this is, oops, this is, here we go. This is what finally was created.
尊敬的女士们、先生们，今天能够在这里与大家见面，并就金融人工智慧应用的全球创新与未来趋势这一主题发表主旨演讲，对我来说是莫大的荣幸。我非常高兴接受邀请来到台湾，今天将为大家呈现一个欧洲角度的这一热门议题。衷心感谢这个美好的机会，祝大家充满喜悦，非常感谢。
So that's amazing, isn't it? And that's what AI is all about. It's a kind of magic if we really start using it, also besides ChatGPT, right? Because AI, what is AI all about? AI is able to transform complex processes into fast, accurate, and efficient solutions. And this is so important for the financial markets, for the financial industry, because we all know that capital markets and the processes there are very complex. So AI is a tool that enables us to transform these complex processes into easy, fast solutions. So my name is Gloria Traidl, and I'm here as a representative of the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management in Frankfurt. And I have a deep, deep background in capital markets. I've spent over 24 years in capital markets, so really on the market side, if you like. And today I'm responsible for the executive education at Frankfurt School of Finance and Management in Germany, which is very important because we all know there is a lot of knowledge in almost every institution, but it's so important to break it down to the whole staff. And this is why executive education is so important. So, as I said, I'm from Frankfurt, and Frankfurt is an amazing city in Germany, such as Taipei in Taiwan. Why is Frankfurt so important? Because it's the home of the European Central Bank. It is also the home of the BaFin, which is the German Federal Financial Supervisory Authority. It is for sure also the home of the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. But more importantly, in our context, it is the home of over 200 national and international banks. So we, at the business school, we are really at the pulse of the adoption rate, of the adoption speed of AI in finance. So when we look at AI in finance, we have to step back a little bit and take a general view on it. So what do we see? We see that the US is leading the market. And why is that? Because it was all in 2024 that the US launched over 40 notable AI models, followed by China, around 15, and followed far, far behind by Europe, almost about 3. So the Asian Pacific area is emerging as the fastest growing region driven by rapid digital expansion. China reinforces its role as a leading innovation hub. And why is it like this? We're going to have a look at it right now. So private investments in AI tell us a quite similar story. Again, we see the US leading the market, so followed by Europe and also by China. So there must be a kind of relationship regarding capital, so private investments coming into the market for fintechs, for startups, and the leading role that the US has. So the question is, why is AI so important in finance, and why it's right now the perfect time to look at it? Well, to answer these questions, let's have a look a little bit about the relevance of AI in finance. And here we can see that those institutions who already adopted AI applications report about 40% of a reduction of operational costs, 90% faster processing, and about 90% of AI-powered fraud detections. And we have heard it several times today. Fraud detection is so important in a global world with a highly globalization with international payments, that fraud detection is one of the most important facts here. So let's have a look at some figures. Let's have a look at market size and market projections. So what we see is that in 2024, the market value of global AI in finance was about 15 billion US dollars, whereas the projections by 2033 are about 60 billion US dollars. So that is huge. When we even take a much broader look at it, we can see that projections by 2030 of AI in finance are about 200 billion. So we are really, really talking about big market projections here. So let's have a look at the core applications for AI in finance. Well, here we can see that fraud detection, customer experience, portfolio management, and credit scoring are the most stated core applications if we ask ourselves what are the most important applications in finance. Well, fraud detections, as I said before, are very important in a globalized world. Customer experience, from my point of view, is very interesting because at the end of the day, for me, still, it's a people's business. That's why this conference here is so important, that we get known to each other, that we get connected as human beings. However, customer experience will be even stronger by the use of AI. So portfolio management, we think about algorithmic trading or robo-advisory, and credit scoring is also very important because credit scoring in the financial markets are very, very complex processes. And here, as I said, that's the magic about AI. It can turn those complicated processes into easy solutions. Of course, we can have a much broader view on those AI applications. And this report from the OECD shows much more than those 4 core applications. So we have cybersecurity, we have data and text analysis, we have supervisory technology. So there are, of course, much more applications than those 4 stated before. So again, let's have a look at a few figures. So what are the AI-driven efficiency and growth for finance prospects? So the additional value of AI could create in global banking is stated about 1 trillion US dollars, which is huge. Average cost reductions are about 20%. But more importantly, we are talking about new revenue streams coming from completely new business models in the future. So at the end of the day, we are talking about a return on investment of almost 10 times, which is huge for banks. Whenever we are talking about opportunities, of course, we face challenges in the market. And probably one of the most important challenges that we are facing is the tech skills gap, which is ahead of us. About 50% of banking industry's jobs are likely to become redundant by the use of AI. That's huge, right? The World Economic Forum, on the other side, says that one of the most important skill, or even the most important skill, by 2030 for employees will be AI and big data knowledge. So at the end of the day, the industry is facing millions of jobs as a skills gap in the future. But there's also another big challenge coming to the financial industry, and that is the big tech companies moving into finance. What have all tech companies in common? And it doesn't matter if you're talking about the US, China, Asia, Taiwan even, or Germany. Well, we don't really have big tech companies, okay, I admit. But anyway, so what do they all have in common? Well, they own the data. They own customers' data. And they are also the owner of technological knowledge. So it is easy for the big tech companies to now offer financial services to their customer base. So here we are seeing a kind of threat for the financial industry. In addition to that, we have neobanks coming to the market, and we're going to have a look at one special neobank a little bit later on. So neobanks are also the technological owner, if you like. They are very easy accessible for customers. The fees and interest rates they can offer to their customers are very low because the automation level, due to the implementation of AI, is very high. We are talking about 70% or something. So the transaction speed also for smaller transactions is also very competitive. And in addition to that, they can offer their services on a 24/7 basis. So what will be the future outlook when we talk about fintechs and banks? Well, probably it will be a kind of symbiosis. Why? Because fintechs are the innovation drivers. They have the power of implementing new technologies very quickly and easily and fast. However, what we see in the traditional finance system is they are capital intensive, they have the capital for growth, and they also have the regulatory expertise, which is very important. Again, we heard it several times here during the conference, how important regulation is for the market. So let's have a look at 3 use cases for AI in finance. So first, let's start with Visa. We all know Visa, which is one of the most important payment providers in the world. So Visa has been investing heavily into their AI strategy over the last 10 years. They focused on 3 core functions, which are fraud and risk, payment and innovations, and data analysis. The impact, if we only focus on fraud detection, was huge. They are reporting that 80 million fraud attacks were blocked by the use of AI, and that is huge. And of course, this gives them a very, very strong revenue impact. Also, we have Klarna. I don't know if you've heard of Klarna here in Taiwan. Klarna is a European neobank, so one of the examples. I personally love to use Klarna. It is hands-on, it is mobile first, and it's a very young neobank. So what is Klarna all about? Klarna has a very strong AI solution. They can offer their services on a 24/7 basis in 23 countries with 23 languages. So you can imagine their accessibility to different countries is very huge. And the automation level here is also, because of the use of AI, immense. So we are talking about 70%. And yeah, as I said, Klarna is very successful. They just went to the US stock market just weeks ago, and it's one of the most important neobanks we have in Europe. As the last example, we can have a look at JP Morgan Chase, at the Coin platform. You may have heard about it. So what was the challenge for JP Morgan Chase? Well, JP Morgan had to manually review more than 12,000 commercial credit agreements on an annual basis, which was a very, very cost-intensive process. So we were talking about 360 hours of invested hours by staff. With the use of AI and with the introduction of AI to solve these problems, they were able to reduce those 360,000 hours of working time into seconds. Also, they achieved even a higher accuracy that human reviewers achieved before. And also, the impact on the cost-saving size is still immense. So we are talking about $15 million here. So let's have a quick view on AI regulation. And I just want to show you that over the past 10 years, a lot of bills passed by the government. So this shows us that it's not just since the introduction of ChatGPT that governments understood the importance of this new technology. This has started some time ago, so 10 years ago almost. So I want to look at three distinct regulatory approaches, which may also explain why the US is leading the market and others are following. So first of all, as I'm from Europe, we are going to talk about Europe. Here we have the European AI Act, which will be fully implemented from January 1st of next year. So this regulatory approach is very strict. It focuses very much on privacy, which is good for the end customer. However, one of the basic criticism is that maybe this regulation is hindering innovation a little bit. On the other hand, as an example for state control regulatory approaches, we have China. So it is also a very strict regulation for sure, but here I think we can say it's all about control. And in between we have the US. The US always, if we are talking about blockchain technology or AI, has a kind of innovation first approach. So first they let the startups work before then the regulation comes in. And this in addition to the strong capital that is coming into the market may be one of the main reasons why the US is leading the market. So of course we have to have a quick look at the risk of AI in finance. So again, we stay a little bit in the regulatory area, and here we also have ethical concerns we have to address. So we already heard it in one of the presentations before. We are talking about algorithmic biases, which in the financial system may even worsen the credit or wealth gap, because we all know that an AI, thank you, 3 minutes, application is only as good as the data is. We have this black box problem we already heard before, and for sure we have the big issue of data privacy. So again, here Europe has for sure a very strong regulation. Of course, we also have some technical and operational challenges. So data quality integration is one of the most important facts to add here. We have the talent gap, we already heard about it. And one other challenge is that the legacy system integration is not as easy as we all think about it, because if I just look at the traditional banks in Germany, we have almost more than 100 different systems running, and it's not that easy to just, add an AI system to it. It's just like building a completely new home. Often it is easier to start building a new home than renovating it. So again, coming to an end, to sum it up a little bit. So we see the US is leading the market. Again, this may be because of the strong capital that is coming into the market, a regulation which has this innovation first approach. And then we have Europe on the other side with a very strict regulation. A basic criticism was, I mentioned, that this may slow down innovation a little bit. However, it gives financial institutions a very strong framework and secure, safe framework to work in. And then we have Asia, which is for sure leading in terms of mobile-first approach. We have China as an example for high state of control, and we have Asia with a very, so aside China, a very strong innovation culture and very open markets. So of course, before I want to end this key speaking note, let's have a short view at the future outlook. So the next wave of financial AI, we heard it, may be generative AI advisors. I think when I always think about chatbots I'm losing my mind, because at the end of the day I have to call this my service assistant anyway. So probably a real generative AI advisor will be a solution here. We have quantum computing, we already heard it before, and a point that is very interesting to me, which may be the perfect puzzle here between the morning and this afternoon, is the integration of AI in DeFi, which I'm personally very interested in. And I think that AI is an enabler for blockchain technology, and also blockchain technology becomes even more important if we think about data, ownership of data. So coming back to my first slide, I think we can all agree and we all understand that AI is really more than just a tool we can use. Either we are talking about ChatGPT or this nice little application that allows us to create videos. It is more becoming, from my point of view, a new foundation for the next era of financial services. And I think I'm right in time here, so I would love to say thank you again. Thanks for having me here. Please reach out. I'm here with all of the other colleagues, key speakers, later this afternoon. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.